Okay, today we are moving on to lesson 1.9, estimating roots. So yesterday we learned about the square root and the cube root and perfect squares and perfect cubes. Now we're going to go on to something that isn't perfect, so we'll be doing some estimating. So, get our name and date here at the top of the paper. So here's some common squares and cubes, which are also on that chart. I'm going to be referencing this chart quite a bit today. So when we estimate square roots and cube roots, we know that the square root of 8 is not a whole number because 8 is not a perfect square. The number line shows that the square root of 8 is between 2 and 3. Since 8 is closer to 9 than 4, the best whole number estimate for the square root of 8 is 3. So basically you break it down into what is it closer to, what perfect square is it closer to, the square root of 9, which is a perfect square, or the square root of 4. And 8 is closer to 9, so it's closer to 3 than it is to 2. So we're going to do that a few times here in practice. Square root of 83 is really close to the square root of 81. I mean, it's only 2 off, so it's not going to be much closer to any other whole number, so we're just going to call that 9. And they kind of explain that here. It's between 81 and the next one is 10 squared or 100. And since it's closer to 81, it goes 9. Now this is a cubed root. If you can't remember that, to read this, we're 320. So 320 falls somewhere between the cubed root of 6, this cubed root of 6, which is 216, and the cubed root of 343, which is 7. So where does it fall closer? It's 23 way here. It's way more than that here. So the nearest integer would be 7. A few more of those. This is really close to the square root of 36, which is 6. It's closer to that than it is to 25. So 6. 170. If you don't know what that one is, you can find it on your chart under the square. It's really close. It's somewhere between 13 and 14. So it's 13, and then we had 196. 14, definitely closer to 13. We can still do the same with decimals. This is really close to the square root of 49, which is 7. That's above it. Below it would be the square root of 36, which is 6. 5 away here, more than 5 away there, 7. Now we have some cube root practices. Cubed root of, we're between 27 and 64. Obviously it's closer to 64, so that would be 4. The cubed root of 25 is really close to the 27 there. So it's really close to the cubed root of 27. 129, really close to the cubed root of 125. Definitely closer to anything, closer to that than to anything else. So now we've estimated. This one wants us to order them from least to greatest, so we just kind of have to figure out where these would lie. This is a little bit bigger than the square root of 49. So this would be a little bigger than 7. So greater than 7 or close to 7. 85 is bigger than or greater than, let's do that, the square root of 81, which is 9. So this is the largest. Smallest is, this doesn't make any sense to have 2 arrows. This one is greater than the square root of 49, which is 7. There we go. So smallest is 7. Then it went to square root of 50. Oh my goodness. Then it goes 9 because the square root of 85 is bigger than 9. Oh, cubed roots. So 105 cubed roots would be closer to 125 than 64. So this is close to 125 but smaller. So smaller than 5. 38. This is the square root. Well, that's the square root of, really close to the square root of 36, which is 6. Smallest would be this one, because it's actually smaller than 5, then 5, then 6, which was the square root of 38, then 7. Okay, so this one, remember when we did yesterday, when we had a variable equal to it, we would square root both sides, but then we did y is equal to plus or minus, what's that really close to? Really close to the square root of 49, so 7. Really close to 100. So if we square root these, we would get d is equal to plus or minus 10. And this one's closest to, well, there's 4, or, which is 2 squared, or 9. This is 2.8 away. And this is to 9.2 to get to 7, 8, 9. It's actually closer to the square root of 9. So p is equal to plus or minus 3, because it's the square root of those numbers. All right, a couple word problems and we're done. Wyatt wants to fence in a square portion of the yard to make a play area for his new puppy. The area covered is 2 square meters. How much fencing would Wyatt buy? So basically what they're showing us here is, and if the area is equal to side squared, and we know that the area is 2, we need to square root both sides, and we would s is equal to the square root of 2, which we don't know that answer, but we can find an exact answer and then figure it out. Now, would this be plus or minus? No, because you can't have a negative amount of fencing. So in order to figure out his whole fence, I have 4 sides of the square root of 2. So I'm going to have to take this times 4, which we can write that as 4 the square root of 2. So if we wanted to be a little more exact, so he would need about 4, remember how we type that in our calculator? 5.65, so he's going to need about 5.6, so I would say he's going to need about 6 meters, so that we are over, not too much over, but not too much under either. Okay, let's see what this one says. Kelly needs to put trim around a circular tablecloth with a diameter of 36 inches. So circular tablecloth, diameter 36 inches. Use the equation circumference equals pi d, or 2 pi r, to find 3 sets of approximations for the amount of trim she will need. Truncate the value of pi to the ones, tenths, and hundredths place, then determine how much she should buy. So that just means pi is equal to 3.1415 dot dot dot. Truncate means cut it off. So our first value is going to be when we are at the 10 spot, so 3.1. So C would equal 3.1 times the diameter of 36. The second set would be 3.1. So this one's only 3.3 times 36. That's the 1 spot. Tenths is 3.1 times 36. And hundredths, third value, is 3.14 times 36. The more you cut off an answer, the less exact it is. So hopefully you can see that if you cut something off, we're going to be not exact. So this one would be inches. So should she get 100 inches or 108 inches? Should she get 111.6 inches? Or should she get 113 inches where it really won't matter? So then determine how much trim she should buy. So which one should she buy? This one would be too little because it goes all the way up here. So in order to be safe, I would say she needs 114 inches in trim. And have a great day.